Bird TV. Well, I have to say that was yesterday probably one of the best games that I have seen in a long, long time. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Uh, it was just, it was weird because normally, like, I think because the season's been so hit and miss, I was normally I would normally been getting agitated, or I would normally be getting really stressed. But I was sort of pacing up and down my living room with like the last 10 minutes of the first half, and I was like, if we just get a goal back, this is what I was saying to myself. If we can just get a goal back, then we're right. Well, right back in this. It sounds stupid to say it, but you know what I'm saying. We get a goal back, Anfield will turn, the atmosphere will turn, and then we can build from there. Now, Trent was getting a lot of stick, and some of the statuses going up at 2-0. Yeah, I can understand people get frustrated, but some of the stick that was aimed at Trent and, you know, some of our lads I mean, it's as if we were playing bottom of the league at Anfield. Then I can understand the stick a little bit. Then I can understand people getting on the players' backs. Curtis Jones as well. I thought he was at least having a go. At least he was constantly trying to go forward. He lost the ball a few times, but he was constantly trying to get on the ball, make things happen. The fluidity in the movement between when we used to have Firmino, Salah and Mane is not there at the moment, because basically you've got two lads playing up front for the first time together, rotated. So we've either got Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo and Salah. Salah's the only mainstay really on Jota, who's not played with Gakpo a lot, and Gakpo's not played with Núñez a lot. And it's, you can see that in the chemistry of us trying to go forward, because, you know, this didn't happen overnight. Or even with Firmino, Salah and Mane, we didn't just they didn't just click straight away. I think it took about 12-18 months, and then bang, that was it. They knew each other's runs, they knew each other's movement, and it was a Fab Three that was, you know, blossomed in a 5-year period. But I'd say the first 18 months you've probably seen a little bit similar, which if you look at Sadio Mane's goal record in his first season at Liverpool, it was very similar to Darwin Núñez's. So I was actually really proud of the lads yesterday, because they could have gone under. They could have really gone under. They could have just gone, right, this is it, we're 2-0 down to Arsenal, this could be anything. I mean, it could have been a 4 or 5 or, you know, a 6-1, because it can happen in the Premier League. You've seen a lot of scores like that, similar in the Premier League this season. So they did well to get back in it, and, you know, there needs to be a conversation now between Klopp and Mohamed Salah as to the penalty taking situation, because I'm not being funny, we cannot afford to keep throwing away points just because, you know, normality is Mo Salah takes it. Mo Salah is you know, he's missed the last 2, and in my opinion that means his head's gone. He's overthinking it, and if you're overthinking penalties, you shouldn't be on them. So I would, you know, personally, you know, do you know what I would have done if I was Mo Salah, because he's missed his first one against Bournemouth? I would have actually put my foot straight through it. I'd have just levered it straight down. I used to take penalties myself, and I never missed one. Even it might be Sunday League and lower league football, but I never missed one, because I used to always hit it with my laces, and I would always make sure that the head was over the ball. It's reminded me, because I actually scored my penalty when I worked at Liverpool. They gave me a penalty at Anfield, and I scored that one as well. So yeah, I didn't miss in, even with no fans in the ground. But no, I'm only taking the piss. But yeah, I used to just put my head down, which would keep your shot low, and I would always hit it with the laces. I think if you try and be too clever with penalties, you get found out. I mean, to me, you can just be too clever. And if it was me, it's a big goal. You know, you ain't got a lot to hit. If you keep it, if you hit it hard enough, the keeper won't stop it. Now, that's the reason why I would have just put it through with my laces, and maybe that's what Mohamed Salah should have done, because he's overthinking it. He's thinking, right, I'm going to place it right in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to be... If you're trying to be so particular, trying to get that certain spot right at the bottom of the goal, that's just arrogance, in a way. So I know top players have arrogance, but come on. You're trying to make... The goal's massive, right? The goal's massive. right? Why would you want to make the goal tiny by aiming for that little corner? By making it that impossible to hit that bit? You're best off waiting to see the goalie's movement. Here's me giving Mohamed Salah a penalty fucking advice, but you know what I'm on about. And just smash it as hard as you can. Because even if the keeper gets a hand on it, more or less, it's either going to deflect off his hand and go in, or it's going to bounce back out and you can follow in the rebound. When you're trying to be too particular, like he was against Bournemouth, top left-hand corner, and like he was against Arsenal, bottom left-hand corner, you're just narrowing down your options. One of the best penalty takers, that I've seen in my life, is obviously, I think, Shearer and Sheringham. I mean, they used to blast them. But also Stevie Gerrard. But Gerrard was clever. Gerrard would pass it into the corner of the goal, wouldn't try and whip it like Salah did. So there's an art to it, and that art, by the way, wins you football matches. So that's the reason why I think Klopp needs to have a word now with Mohamed Salah. But this is the problem you've got. He'll probably get the hump. He'll probably get the hump with Jurgen. Hello Craig lad. All right Sue. All right Lindsay. If he gets the penalties taken from him, 2 seconds. If he gets the penalties taken from him, Mohamed Salah, then he'll probably fucking spit his dummy out and get pissed off and probably want to leave. And at the moment, we're in transition with the fact that we've lost Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino. So we don't really want to be losing Mohamed Salah. I know people say, yeah, we could get 60, 70 million for him, but his goals alone will probably get us that if we get back into the top 4 next season. Now, going back to the top 4, it's a strange season this season, and I don't think we're going to finish top 4 now. I don't. I've been the most positive red going, but we have to at least finish 5th, 6th or 7th, and I'm going to tell you why. If you get in the Champions League, you can earn a minimum of 40 million quid, and then based on how far you go in the competition, you can earn up to 100 million. If you get into the Europa League, you can earn up to 50 million. Now, if Liverpool do go in the Europa League, then the basis on the probabilities will get to the latter stages, if not the final, if not win it. Now, Rangers got to the final of the Europa League last year. I think they made 60 million out of that Europa League run. Then if you add the fact that winning the Europa League got you into the Champions League, that's your minimum 40 million, talking £100 million. And this is why I'm trying to say to the fans that say we don't want to finish in the Europa League, we don't want to finish in the UEFA Conference League. If you want Liverpool to make signings, then we've got to finish in Europe. And we've got to finish in Europe for a few reasons. First reason is revenue. Without revenue, we can't spend money, right? We can't spend big money. We need to. 2, signings, right? Signings are going to want games. And if you're only playing in the League Cup, FA Cup and the league, then they're going to have to get the games. Then the domino effect happens. Klopp's then got to play a lot of his first team in the Carabao Cup, when we like to use the Carabao Cup for our youngsters. So next season, let's see Ben Doak. And this is another thing. People saying Trent needs to be sort of tested. He needs someone to come in at right back to give him pressure. We bought Calvin Ramsey for 6.5 million. I've watched videos on this boy. He was voted the young player in the SBO, but that's not the best stat that he had. He had the most assists for any teenager in Europe. That's how good this kid is. We've not seen him. And people keep forgetting the players that we're not seeing. Like Luis Diaz. People have forgot how good Thiago was. I can remember a couple of weeks ago looking on some of the football pages and people saying we should get rid of Thiago. Why? Because you've seen when he came on yesterday, he's 32 in July, right? So he's not quick. He's never been quick. But I tell you what he can do. He can play the ball through the eye of the needle. Thiago is our Modric, right? That's what he is. Thiago is our Modric. So you keep Thiago because Thiago's going to be the one that can come on and pass balls like he was doing yesterday, like outside of the right foot, eye of the needle. What you do now is we bring in the Genie Wijnaldum type midfielders. We need the dog workers, right? And then what you can do is if you've got 3 games in a week, you can play Thiago in one, you can play Fabinho in the other, and you can play Hendo in the other. So you keep them 3. Curtis Jones, if he can stay fit, there's a player in there, but we've been saying that for too long now, but there's a player in there. So I'd keep him. So the only ones that we should really be replacing this summer is Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain. So if it was me, I would go out, all out, Jude Bellingham and Gravenberch from Bayern Munich, or Matheus Nunes, Gravenberch, Mason Mount, or Bellingham. If we don't get Bellingham, you get what I mean. I would replace Keita and Oxlade with first names on the team sheet signings. 60, 70, 80, 90 million pound central midfielders. Nico Barella, someone like that. That is what I would do. Trent doesn't need backup right back. We've already signed him. He got a lower back injury early on. He's a teenager. Let's hope with a pre-season we've got a 6'2" right back, Scottish blood. You know what the Scottish fullbacks are like at Liverpool. You know, in Robertson and Stevie Nicol. We've had many down the years that basically have been brilliant. Give the kid a chance. We've got Ben Doak next season. He will be involved when Bobby goes and stuff like that. So we've got a good nucleus of forward players. So do you know what I did yesterday? For once in a good few years, I relaxed, and I just, rather than getting angry that we were 2-0 down, and I'd written it off. This season, I just went, well, let's go out and give it our best and see how far we finish, right? But what I meant is that showed that all these idiots saying Klopp's lost the dressing room, they're talking nonsense. And he's actually told these lads now, and I guarantee you he would have said this yesterday at half-time at Anfield. If you want to be here next season, go out there and put that right, because that's not good enough. So, one person I want to give a massive mention to, and I'm going to go through all your comments as well before I end this video, and I'm going to get some questions coming to it. It's going to be a decent video, this, and I will read every one of your comments out live on here as well, right? But if I was Jurgen, right, I would literally say, a bit like that time, I think he had an envelope, didn't he, where he said terrible or something. He wrote terrible down, didn't he, on the board when he first took over Liverpool. And all the players thought that he was aiming that at them, but he wasn't. He was saying that's how people are going to feel when they play against us. Terrible. So what Klopp's probably said to them now is, you're playing for your futures. Nobody is bar, probably Alisson, still Virgil, but Virgil needs to sort himself out. Salah, they're probably they're probably the only ones, and Robertson, they're probably the only ones that are on that piece of paper now that Klopp's saying you're coming with me next season. So what I'm saying is the rest of them are playing for the future. Obviously Gakpo and Nunes, but they're new signings. That's different. Luis Diaz, different. So what do we need to do? A massive overhaul? No. 2 first team 11 central midfielders need signing. That's what I believe in. Gravenberch, Mason Mount, Jude Bellingham, even Caicedo from Brighton. Any of them. That's the type of calibre it has to be. Nico Barella. That's the type of calibre. We don't need squad players, because guess what? We've got them. We've got Thiago. We've got Henderson. We've got Fabinho. We've got Curtis Jones. We've got James Milner, who'll probably get another year. There's our squad players. So now what we've got to do is replace Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain with first name on the team sheet central midfielders. They have to be. The signings we make this summer are not squad signings. They have to be first 11, nailed on signings. So that's what I'm going for. And then when it comes down to yesterday, I'm just going to go through my player ratings actually as well, and we'll jump back onto questions. Alisson, I don't know if you've seen the moment. Let's have a bit of coffee first, 2 seconds. I don't know if you've seen the moment where he turned around at the cop and had a go at them. As if to say, ooh, yeah, he's getting pissed off. He's getting pissed off because he's thinking I'm one of the best out the back goalkeepers in the world. Yes, but he's made mistakes. Real Madrid would have won that if he didn't do it. So I understand the nerves coming from the cop. But I think that was Alisson saying, look, you're affecting me. You're putting me off. And that's what we've got to be careful with the Alisson Becker one. But I thought he played well yesterday, Alisson. And his kicking was great as well from the kick out. So I'm going to give Alisson a 7.5. Right back, well, he didn't really play right back yesterday. But the role that Trent played, I'm telling you right now, and I've put him in the image in this video just to the left of me. Look at that ball he's whipping in. Without Trent yesterday, which a lot of our fans were telling to get him off now, we would not have drawn that game yesterday, and possibly would it. We would not, because he was a genius on the ball again. He was brilliant, right? You have to take the rough with the smooth. Roberto Carlos was not one of the best defenders in the world, but he would give you too much going forward. The problem is our centre-backs are not doing their job this season. Canate, by the way, who I thought second half was an absolute colossus. Again, he has to stay fit. because we have got one of the best centre-backs in the world there. You're talking a prime sort of Koulibaly, you know, we're talking like this lad is going to be worth 100 million in a couple of years' time. I'm telling you, in a couple of years' time, he's going to be the go-to centre-back in the world. So we've got some serious talent in our books here at Liverpool. And Konate was my man of the match yesterday, so I'd give him a 9. I thought Virgil was poor, 6. He needs to sort his life out, but he's got credit in the bank. Robertson, effort, energy levels, tenacity, everything, 8. Midfield 3. Fabinho was better. You know, he's still doing his usual, giving away about 150 fouls, but he was better. Hendo was great again. Effort, energy, setting the tempo. Always the one chasing down. I thought he was great. 8 as well. And then Salah. Obviously the penalty was disappointing, but let's not forget he got us the goal, which made it 2-1. So yeah, I'll give him an 8, and it would have been a 9 if he'd have scored the penalty. Very unlucky with a chance towards the end. And then Jota, I thought Jota put himself about really well, and Curtis Jones, sorry, I think Jota an 8, Curtis Jones a 7.5. Firmino, when he came on, absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to bloody miss that man, because he was absolutely unbelievable. But again, I mean, what I don't like is there was some horrendous statuses at 2-0 that I read on other groups. Not, you know, luckily we haven't got to the point of where we've got a lot of them on this group, because Klopp out was coming out. This is disgusting. Doesn't know what he's doing. You know, doesn't know what he's doing. Listen, when we were 2-1 down, who changed it to 4-2-4, where he brought off Curtis Jones and played 4 up front, dropped Firmino into, it was like a 4-2-1-3, and that worked a treat, and we just dominated the game from this. If anybody thinks that Klopp hasn't got a clue tactically, they haven't got a clue. But at the end of the day, they're allowed to have an opinion. They're allowed to say Klopp out. They're allowed to say FSG out. They're allowed to say what they want. It's their entitlement as a football fan. I've got no right to tell them that. I'll argue with them, because everybody argues when it comes to something they care about. But I know where I'd rather come from. And I love the pre-Klopp sort of press conference that he did, where he says, what we do this summer won't be good enough for somebody, for most of them. And what he means is it's them same fans that are demanding, you know, FSG leave and stuff like that. And it won't be enough. If we spend 200 million, it should have been 250. If we spend 250, it should have been 300. If we spend 300, it should be 350. These people don't care about the club's finances. They don't care about us getting done by financial fair play. They don't care about the fact we have one of the biggest wage bills in the Premier League and we've just built 2 stands and a training ground. They don't give a shit. That's just these football fans for you. But us that do care, we're the ones that believed in that team yesterday. I didn't put no statuses up. What did I put up? You seen my statuses yesterday. What did I put up? Big second half going towards a Kop. Why? Over 30 years of watching Liverpool, I know what the Kop end is like, just like you do. They say that famous end can suck the ball in itself, right? What did it do? It did exactly that. You never ever write off Liverpool kicking towards the Kop second half. And I knew the minute that Salah got that goal before half time that we wouldn't lose that game yesterday. I just knew it. The same way when Divock Origi scored the first goal against Barcelona. It was like that old sort of saying, if you get the early goal, we did. So I knew we were going to go and win it. I didn't know whether we would get enough goals to go through, but I knew we was not going to lose the game. So I'm actually excited now about the summer. I cannot wait for players to come in, because we know they're going to be ballers. They're going to be top-notch ballers, because we're not going to piss about this time. John Henry said it. Tom Werner said it. Jurgen said it. They've said it to their blue in the face, right? We are going to go big, right? So here's me. Right, what we have to do is finish as high as possible from 7th to 4th. That's our target. 4th, we need to win 8 out of the next 9. Very, very miracle-ish. 5th is ours. 6th is ours. That's our target. Why? Because like I just said, the Europa League can net you up to 60 million in revenue if you get to the final and win it, right? Then you get the money for qualifying for the Champions League, right, which then makes that go to 100 million. Plus we have the extra carrot of dangling in front of the sign and saying we're playing Europa League. And do you know what? Klopp will sell it like this. We get to finals. Footballers want to win trophies. Footballers want to be in finals. And yes, guess what? It's the only trophy Jurgen Klopp has not won at Liverpool, the Europa League. And I'll go back to it. I'm not a toff. I'm not a snob. I've seen Liverpool have some amazing days. I remember being a 14-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid leaving training for Gunnerby, where I used to play for, and we were playing Alaves in the final. We won 5-4. I remember running home from training to get back for it. I remember Robbie, like yesterday, I can just close my eyes now and I can see Robbie Fowler hitting that with his left foot going across the keeper. I can see McAllister's free kick bending in towards the end, right? I'm not a snob. I want Liverpool to be in Europe because Liverpool need to be in Europe, right? Because it's going to make us financially better off. We can bring better players in, and also it gives the lads like Ben Doak, all the youngsters coming through, extra time to play games. If we get some donkey teams, which you get in the early rounds of the Europa League, get some of the kids involved. Have Thiago in there with Tyler Morton. You get what I mean? Stuff like that. So in my opinion, Liverpool's target now is top 4, miracle, Europa League a must. The Conference League, not for me, but if we have to be in it, we'll go and win it. Just go and win it. I mean, it wasn't, you know, you've got Jose Mourinho, one of the biggest football managers of all time. He actually tattooed the conference trophy on his arm because he was proud to take a club as big as Roma to the final and win it. Because it's all about being a winner and winning trophies. So I want Liverpool to be in the Champions League. But I tell you, I definitely don't want no... Can you imagine next season when all the draws are being made for Europe and we're in none of them? So I'm telling you, and this is why I believe we'll finish in Europe this season, right? We have to go out for the top 4, but if we can just fall short of it, if we do fall short of it, dust ourselves down, do what Man United have done this year. They're probably going to go and win it, but they're going to get stuck back in the top 4, and they've had some great nights against Barcelona and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, that's what you want as a football fan. So that's it. Right, I'm going to get to the comments anyway, but I'm actually really looking forward to the summer. Because I love the club and I've seen worse days than this. People think this is a horrendous spell. Well, yeah, we could potentially finish 5th, 6th in the league, and that's a horrendous season. I've seen horrendous seasons. I've seen seasons when we get knocked out the cup by Grimsby Town at home and Phil Jevons scores in the last few minutes of Grimsby. I've seen us, you know, in the bottom half of the table, you know, just getting Roy Hodgson in and stuff like that. I mean, it can never be as bad as that. I mean, even towards the end of Brendan, I think we were 10th. So it is what it is. We have the best manager in the world, in my opinion, and we have the owners now prepared to back him big. So, and guess what? Anfield at 61,000 next season. Can you imagine Anfield next year with an extra 7,000 in that ground? Anyway, let's get through to the comments, and I'll read them right now. Right, Lindsay Reynolds, how you doing? Don't rate Jones much, but he did play well yesterday. Yeah, Lindsay, he can be hit and miss with supporters, but let's not forget he's a Scouser and a young kid, and I thought he took a lot of risks yesterday in his movement and his passing, and he was hand in the first goal as well. And I think that he's one of those players that will get better if he can stay fit. And hopefully now he's growing. Because I know a lot of people between the age of 16 and 20, they have a lot of growth in their legs and bones, which can make them get little niggling injuries. Hopefully now he's a fully grown man and he can get that run in the team, you know, that we need. Because let's not forget, it was nice yesterday because we had 2 Scousers starting in the 11, which is brilliant. Right, Sue, how are you doing? Pity Salah missed the penalty. Yeah, totally. But still love them. Yeah, me too. Hello, Craig Varga, lad. Hope you're well. Fabinho should be on pens. Yeah, he doesn't miss them, does he? So that's a good shout. Sammy Edwards, hi, mate. How are you doing today, mate? I agree with you, mate. Yeah, cheers, pal. Craig Farragher, I think we should get rid of Jones. I don't think he's good enough for our squad, especially if we go out and buy Bellingham Co this summer. Craig, I get what you're saying, but how much are we going to get for him? Who's going to buy him? And would he be a good squad player? I'm thinking we could still get Bellingham, but mind you, you're a Scouse lad, and even if you don't want to keep him, then I'm sure that's probably the thoughts of most of the fans. But because I was listening to Redmen TV today at work, and they said that he was getting a bit of stick, and that Chris Machin, who runs Redmen TV, actually shouted at one of our supporters saying, "Well, what do you fucking want him to do? He's getting on the ball and nobody's moving for him." So Redmen TV were more or less sticking up for Curtis Jones and saying, well, if our front three move to him, he'll be able to pass to them. But what I like about Jones is he's got bollocks, right? He doesn't go hiding. And remember, Kenny Dalglish said that about Lucas Leiva once. Lucas Leiva had his early years, his first couple of years, he had a really sort of dodgy first couple of seasons at Liverpool. But I remember Dalglish coming out and saying, yeah, but I like it. I like Lucas because you know what? He'll want the ball again. If he gives the ball away, he'll want it back 2 minutes later. So he's got the balls to want it back, and that's what Jones is like. He'll always want the ball. And I thought he did all right in possession and stuff like that. So that's that one. Robbie Steen, we need to rebuild for next season. Totally get a new midfield. Yeah, totally agree. I'm sure everybody, but anybody that puts a red shirt on knows that, mate. I agree with you. Second half was the best part, Simon. Yeah, I agree. Paul Chapelade in, my old mate. Henderson was brilliant, totally agree. Robert Clegg, exactly. Palace spent 90 minutes supporting the team. Every team has a cycle, but we still have to support these lads while we still wear the red shirt. Mate, I totally agree. And you know, I actually said that. These boys deserve the respect, you know, for what they've done over the last 5 seasons, right? The only one that doesn't, in my opinion, is Naby Keita. And thank fuck he's gone in a few weeks' time. Because I personally, I mean, I would say I'm not even got my driving licence yet, but if I could, I'd drive him to the airport. But I tell you what, I'm that determined for him to go. I'd probably give him a coker, give him a backer, and get him on the back of my push bike, and I'd cycle him there, because he's just been an absolute waste of space. And he even goes and gets injured playing for Plissken Guinea, and comes back injured. Oh, I mean that's the only one I have a bellyache with, and that was like I was like that with Lovren towards the end, but. Yeah, it takes a lot for me to, I won't say turn on the player, it just takes a lot for me to just give in on him, and I'm not being funny. Keita is the only one, and Lovren in the last 20 years that I've given up on, and that was just because of constant mistakes and injuries and shit like that. It just does me head in. But anyway, I was really proud of the lads yesterday, and it was an absolutely unbelievable game of football, and I'll be doing a preview for Leeds in the next few days, because that's going to be a tough one at Ellen Road, especially after them getting beaten by Palace 5-1, and they're fighting for their lives, and it's that game, innit? It's the games that we've been waiting to pick up momentum in. Bournemouth, you know, Leeds beat us at Anfield as well. Every time we seem to get a game we should win, we don't win it, and that's been the frustrating thing. So hopefully we can just really, really hit a run now. And if we can, I mean, Luis Diaz is back for Leeds as well, so he gets a little 20-minute cameo off the bench. That would be great. But the positive thing is this, right? We've got 9 matches left, and 5 of them are at Anfield. You know, so we could win all 5 at Anfield, and just win the games that are winnable away from home, including Tottenham. Now we're 9 points behind Tottenham with a game in hand. We win our game in hand, we go 6 behind them, but we've got to play them, right? So we could reduce it to 3 points. Now we've got a better goal difference as well than Tottenham. So can you imagine if we could get it down to the last game or the last couple of games, knowing that if we bettered their result, we could get in the top 4. I'm not going to give up, because I've seen this before. We went on that run, didn't we, when Alisson scored the head against West Brom. So we are capable of doing it. But at the end of the day, we have to finish in Europe, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. You'll never walk alone.